one we didn't talk about was the Mormon Mountains. The Mormon Mountains started part of the sheep herd that is now the third best herd in the United States in Texas. We gave those guys diseased sheep, and they built their herds with them. And I guess I just want to think more positively than negatively. I know. I've had my hands on them. I've been on every die-off in this state except for one. And a lot of times I'm the only one there. And when there's a problem, if there's a domestic sheep, I get the phone call from NDOW. I get the phone call from BLM. Need to go talk to your buddy. What is green paint versus red paint on a domestic? We go look for them. And I just want to see the positives happen here. I've been on coughs. I've seen the same sheep that Jason's seen. I don't call it a cough, I call it a sneeze. For days, I've been in the mountains and put cameras trying to find the culprit in northern Washoe County and Humboldt County. I can only go to so many places in a day. I throw a trail camera up, I put it on video, and I'm gone. I'm gone to the next water source. That's where they're coming. I go back and I look. I've never found the culprit. And I've been in on 3 or 4 in the same mountain range I'm talking about. Hey, we had coughing, we had this, we had that. And it was all negative when you go up and look at it. You cough, I cough, just like anybody talks about. Jason doesn't want a bullet before he coughs. I leave cameras when I'm looking. Even when I'm looking at these sheep and observing them, I've got a camera going. And I go back and I review that film. In 2005, I took a tape. This is important. In 2005, I took a tape to Mike Cox from L13. It might have been 2006. And we had just come off the Sawtooth on a die-off. I observed the same thing happening in 013. I took that tape down to the Department of Wildlife. I gave another biologist a call, Jim Jeffers. I said, I want you guys to look at something. So he says, meet me down at the department. Let's take a look. We had a lamb that was in poor shape, that was coughing pretty good. We know who that lamb's mother was. We know who the ewe was. Nothing was done. Looking back, yeah, you know, hindsight's 20/20. We probably should have plugged both of them. But we said, let's see what happens. Well, 2008, we lost them. You ask how long these things go, Mrs. Lane? I think it can go on for a long, long time. I really do. And I think in 013, that was the start of it.
Okay, anybody else have any public comment? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission. This is an action item. Do you guys want to say anything, do anything? Just Commissioner McNinch.
I'll just reiterate what I did in Tonopah. I don't, Mel and Jeff, you guys should be proud of the accomplishments that you guys have been involved with Bighorn sheep. It's unbelievable, it really is. But I don't look at it as putting the brakes on. I just, you know, Mike kind of talked about taking the foot off the accelerator for a little while and taking a breath. And we've never had these opportunities to evaluate herd health like this. They just haven't been here. Back in 1980s, you didn't have the ability to do this. The resources, you know, Dr. Wolf in her position and the knowledge base that's being established and understanding the connectivity and stuff, that the opportunities to understand this disease transmission and the projects that are going on to look at super shedders and how they influence things, and you know, it's unprecedented in a lot of ways. And I think it's okay to, I think it's a real positive that we take the foot off the accelerator when we have yellow flag go up and start asking those same questions that you've been asking for 30 years. Why? What's going on with this stuff? What's happening? And, I appreciate the fact that you got money waiting to hit the ground. I don't look at this as a negative thing. I think it's a real positive thing, and it's an aspect that we just haven't looked at. And I think nothing but good's going to come out of it ultimately. I think it might seem like a step backwards now, but I think the gains in the future are going to be significant. I really do. So I don't think we need to do anything at this point in time to change. My thought, I understand better what I was understanding before. So,
anybody else have anything? Okay, before we move away from sheep, this is kind of a personal thing, but we did get another sheep hunter in the state of Nevada today. His name's Riker Pribble. He was born in 1155, great-grandson of Eddie Pribble. I just got the text with a picture, so we have another sheep hunter, another sheep guzzler builder, and everything else, so that's good news. Any other thing that we need to add to sheep before we go on? Okay, we'll move on to agenda item number 21, public comment. Anybody have any public comment they need to bring forward? Come on up, Mike.
For the record, Mike Smith, I appreciate it. First, I want to thank Jack and Mike. I didn't get down to Tonopah. I've been away for a little bit of time, mainly out of frustration, which I'll briefly discuss here today. I won't take up 3 minutes, I promise. I missed yesterday Dave's presentation and Tony's about WAFA, and I know that there is a changing demographic, and I've had discussions with a couple of you on this before, more how it's going to impact the legislature, because I firmly believe that wildlife policy should not be done in Carson City. I don't. I think it should be left to you guys. But it does take leadership, and it involves making tough decisions. And I think a good example is what we saw today. I've got, we got two groups of people that are never going to meet in the middle on a certain trapping issue, and that's where you guys have to step in my opinion, and just do what's right, and do what's right for the wildlife. Not what's right for this group or not what's right for this group. Sometimes you just got to step away from the groups and say, we've been appointed here to make tough decisions. And if you don't have a problem with an animal being in a trap for 96 hours, then you don't have a problem with it. I can respect that. I may not agree with it, but I can respect that. And I think a lot of the times these decisions we get so mired up in public comment and organizations that say this and one that says this, and we get so caught up in that. And I've said from the beginning, I think for 3 years now, just do what's best for the animal or the animals. And I think you always end up on the right side of it. And I'm just concerned going forward. We're looking at funding for wildlife down the road. We're looking at this decreasing numbers, which means decreased revenue. And at some point, I hope you guys, because this is Nevada, and I'm not from Nevada, but I plan on spending the rest of my life here. And I've never said that before anywhere I've lived. So I do care, and I hope that you can look past the fires that you have to put out on every couple months and look into generations. You just mentioned that a grandson that was born. Think about where they're going to be when you lay the tracks for the future. And are you willing to bring in other groups of people that may think a little bit differently, but would be willing, I think, if the door is not slammed in your face all the time, that would be willing to accept a middle-of-the-road approach. I really believe that can happen, and I think if you do that, there might be an opportunity to bring in other groups with money that'll be willing to do this. But if you can constantly slam that door, that my cue, that door feels like it's being slammed. And I know I felt that way personally. You don't have much, there's not much of a desire to step out and say, here, I want you to do this for this. Here's X amount of dollars to do it for this program. But I think it would be out there if we can just see. There is change going on in the West, and there are states that are making changes, and there's some that aren't. There's some that won't. There's some that are going to be last. I just hope Nevada's not last. And with that, I'll leave it, and thanks so much.
Thank you, Mr. Turnipseed. I'm going to have to clarify which Mr. Turnipseed between the three of you one of these days.
A badge or something. I just want to clarify on the sheep item, because I'm not too smart. Was this agenda item no motion was taken, so I don't know if we didn't move to remove that augmentation from the plan, or if no motion means We weren't going to add it to the augmentation plan. So we're not adding to the augmentation. The plan is as was.
Correct.
Thank you.
But I think I said that we're going to leave it kind of open and refer to the experts if something needs to happen. Any other public comment? Seeing none, you've heard the saying, the third time's a charm. This is my last meeting as a commissioner. I can promise you this is my last meeting as a commissioner. So with that being said, we're adjourned.